when it comes to the reaction coming from the government, coming from the Speaker Johnson, he was trying to communicate with students at the Columbia University. And when he was talking, and you perceive how detached from reality he is, and nobody knows what he's talking about. He was threatening students for protesting against these policies. And on the other hand, we have one Republican and the other Democrats, the former Speaker Nancy Pelosi talking and just connecting these protests to Putin and Russia, and unbelievable what they're doing and why they're doing this. And what's the benefit coming out of this? Nobody gonna benefit from this, to connecting these people, these students who are talking about Gaza, not talking about anything else, connecting them with Putin. How do you see these juvenile policies that have been running Washington for years? These people are senior or policymakers in the United States. How did you find their reaction to these protests?
Their reaction to the protests, I think they're terrified, and I think they are clutching at straws right now and saying anything to try to publicly, denigrate, to try to smear in any way that they can, and I think they're going to keep doing that because the young people, are not being talked out of their convictions. And I think the duopoly, both parties and their leadership, they're only throwing flames on the fire now. They're only encouraging the resistance by brutalizing the protesters, the peaceful protesters. There was an academic association of professors that just came out, condemning the treatment by the universities. I think the more harshly they crack down, the more cornered they are. I think, and it's hard for them to back off because this is a fundamental tenet of empire, that we will dominate, that we will maintain our control over the oil supply in the Middle East through our purge via Israel. It's very hard for them to save face here and back down, but they're going to have to find a way to do it, most immediately relating to the genocide and the weapons that are being sent, because people are only becoming more infuriated, and the American public really understands this. No one is being talked into the absurdities that this is an act of Putin or China or Iran. They're just clutching at straws here to try to discourage people, but it's only having the opposite effect. And I would note here also another major development that I think really has them quaking in their boots is the fact that Starbucks, has really tanked financially, that their profits are way down and their stock price, has really taken a crash. And they're even acknowledging that this is because of their policies in the Middle East. They're not being real specific from what I've seen, but it's obvious what they're talking about, and that the pushback is now global. So, I think it's really wonderful, and it's a tribute to this movement, the BDS movement, and really to just, in the same way that the student demonstrations now are going all over the world, this is an unstoppable movement. And I think we don't yet know exactly how far it goes, but our goal as a political campaign is to ensure that this is a subject of political debate. That is why we are fighting very hard to get on the ballot in New York, which is arguably the most difficult state. This is where the empire, is going all out to stop us. They had raised the petition signature requirement. They tripled it secretly, basically, as an attachment to a budget bill about 2 years ago, without any public discussion. They basically made it impossible for independent candidates and third parties to get on the ballot. But we are really mobilizing to ensure that we are, because it's very important that empire be challenged in this race. There are 3 candidates who are very, 2 for certain, and probably RFK, because he has a ton of money. He can probably buy his way onto the ballot. So there will be 2, maybe 3 pro-genocide, pro-war candidates who are on the ballot. And our campaign is the only one that is on track right now. We have 75% of the signatures that are needed. We're approaching about half of the states, but we have the biggest and most difficult states in that group. So if you look at actually the work that you need to do, 75% of that work is done behind us. So we are the one anti-genocide campaign that will be on the ballot to really force this challenge to empire and demand that they be held to account. Because if they're held to account, they're not going to be in power for very long. They have completely abused the American people, not only with their war machine, which is endless and disastrous, but the consequences of that to the American people here at home.